All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to Columbia Heights Public Schools Independent School District 13 special call meeting, Tuesday, January 8th, 2019. I'd like to call the meeting in order, and please ask everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and welcome, everybody. Hall, if you would, please, roll call.
Larkin,
Here.
Severson,
Here.
Mueller,
Here.
Palmer,
Here.
a Samurai, here, Lewis, here, and Superintendent Kelly.
Here.
Thank you. Our mission statement, and it's actually is our new mission statement as of the first of the year. Creating worlds of opportunity for each and every learner. All belong, all succeed. Our core values are community, excellence, collaboration, integrity, respect, courage, and innovation. Next up is going to be the swearing in of our newly elected board members. And those of you that are newly elected have those sheets in front of you. So I have something that I'll read, and then probably have you guys come up here and do the old having signed the acceptance of oath thing. So, but I won't make you stand up there for this whole thing that I have to read here. So, school board member oath of office. It is an honor that you were elected to guide the education of our community's children. As you recite the oath of office, you assume a tremendous responsibility as a director of our school district with the duties empowered by the Minnesota legislature. This power puts you and the other members of the school board in the position of being both morally and legally responsible for equitable, quality education of every student in the district. In carrying out this responsibility, you will be asked to fulfill the role of vision, structure, accountability, and advocacy. In providing vision, the board, with extensive participation of the community, envisions the community's educational future and then formulates the goals, defines the outcomes, and sets the course for public schools. To achieve the vision, the board establishes a structure and creates an environment designed to ensure all students the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. Because as a board, we must be accountable to the community, we must ensure a continuous assessment of student achievement in all conditions affecting the education of our children. As board members, we serve as education's key advocate on behalf of the students in our community schools to advance the vision for our schools. Furthermore, we must strive to work together with the superintendent and staff to lead the district toward fulfilling the vision we have created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills and knowledge, citizenship, and personal development. So, if you guys want to come on up here for me, please. And then members and you. Teamwork thing?
Teamwork.
Okay, you guys go ahead.
Having signed the acceptance of oath of office.
We're going to start over, and you got to have your right hand up, by the way. We're going to complicate it. Both feet on the ground, but right hand up.
Maybe we should practice this. Having signed the acceptance of office and the oath of office, I hereby publicly affirm my commitment to the oath of office. I swear, affirm, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state, and that I will discharge faithfully the duties of the office of school board member of Independent School District Number 13 to the best of my judgment and ability.
Audience. 4 more years, huh?
All right, do the wave.
Oh, there.
Okay, so if I can get a picture over here, that'd be great. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
I think in the next school board election forum, we should put synchronized reading to the test, you know, like this.
That'll
right.
be you guys being tested.
Okay, moving forward, we have the approval of the meeting agenda. If I could get a motion to move that forward, please.
So moved.
Gloria,
Second?
Maddie, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay, next up will be organization of the board. School board chair will open nominations for board offices. Any board member may be nominated for any office. A nomination does not require a second, and each office is voted on separately. And when I open it up for nominations, I will ask 3 times. So I'll ask for nominations 3 separate times for each, or for the chair. I should probably point out Josh is here with MSBA. He's a parliamentarian. He'll make sure that we follow the rules correctly. So, okay. So moving on to the election of, we'll start with the chair. Nominations are now in order for the office of the chair.
I nominate John Larkin for the office of the chair.
John Larkin is nominated. Are there any other nominations for the office of the chair?
I nominate Natty Severson for the chair.
Natty Severson is nominated for office of the chair. Are there any further nominations for the office of the chair? Are there any further nominations for office of the chair? If there are no further nominations, nominations for the office of the chair are closed. And at this point, I would open it up to any comments that you may have.
Yeah, having thought about this over the past year and being able to sit as vice chair for this year, and I know we even discussed it in our meeting at this time last year, our organizational meeting, that's the word I'm searching for. I'm going to ask to consider, we're not talking about this yet, but I think I'd be more comfortable once again in the role of vice chair for another year, for a lot of reasons. First, I think there's still some things to learn. But secondly, I think based on some of the things that are happening in this coming year with all the construction at North Park, some various other changes that will be happening, just kind of stage of life for me and my family, and the weird, I can talk about my personal health because it's my personal health, hiccups that have happened over the last couple of years. I think I'm finally getting a baseline, and I would love to let John have a very, very busy year as chair, because what I wouldn't want to do is do a really mediocre job. I think it's a year where we need a chair who can give it the time and consideration it really needs, and I'd really like to have that happen. Also, on being a part of I think one of the big things that's been on my mind and heart has been the community involvement thing. We're talking about our ad hoc subcommittee, is really wanting to put that down and really spend some time on that. I think the 3 of us are a committee now, and one of the things I was going to bring up was us picking a date to begin the process. And I'd really like to see us put some legs on the ground with that and put some effort into that. Now that we don't have a bond referendum out, I'd really like to see us make progress on that, and I'd like to dig into that a little bit more. And I think if I add the other things, it could be the nail in my coffin. So that's a long-winded speech, but.
I mean, the only thing I have to say is if the group is comfortable with me as the chair, I'm happy to do that. I don't like the very, very busy year part, but it does go with the position. So, I mean, I'll accept the nomination, and we vote if that's what you want to do. I'm okay with that. Okay, so with that being said, then we'll go with, I can just do an all in favor, right? Or should I do a roll call?
There are 2 candidates I would recommend.
Roll call, okay. All right, we'll start with the first nomination, which was John Larkin. So, Hala, if you would do a roll call. Nope, roll call.
You would just call.
I do it?
So each member. would-
Oh, vote for who they want. Oh, that's much easier, okay. All right, we'll start with Laura,
Larkin.
Hala,
Larkin.
Molly,
Larkin.
Lauren,
Larkin.
Natty,
Larkin.
John, Larkin, so that's unanimous. They do that one okay, Josh? All right, we're better now, all right. It's only once a year. Next up, thank you, everybody, for your confidence, I appreciate that. Next up would be for the vice chair. Nominations are now in order for the office of vice chair.
I'd nominate Natty Severson.
Natty Severson is nominated. Are there any other nominations for the office of vice chair? Are there any further nominations for the office of vice chair? And one last time, are there any further nominations for the office of vice chair? If there are no further nominations, nominations for the office of vice chair are closed. And can I just declare that?
Just one candidate that should be.
So anything's, okay. Okay. With just one candidate nominated, then I'll declare that the office of vice chair goes to Natty Severson.
Did you say we have to do
No,
all
we
in
don't.
favor?
Can I do that or do an all favor? Okay, it's okay, tell me what to do, Josh, I'm okay with that, I get used to that. Okay, so Natty is the only one nominated for the vice chair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Natty is vice chair. Next would be the election of the clerk. Can we go through all those the same as well for nominations? Yes. Okay. Nominations now are open for the position of clerk.
I nominate Laura Palmer.
Laura. Are there any further nominations for the office of clerk? Are there any further nominations for the office of clerk? And one last time, are there any nominations for the office of clerk? If there are no further nominations for the office of clerk, if there are no further nominations, nominations for the office of clerk are closed. And with just one nomination for office of clerk, I'll turn to the group, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Congratulations. Next up would be election of the treasurer. So the nominations are now in order for the office of treasurer. I'll nominate Lorian. Lorian Mueller is nominated for treasurer. Are there any other nominations for the office of treasurer? Are there any further nominations for the office of treasurer? Are there any further nominations for the office of treasurer? If there are no further nominations, nominations for the office of treasurer are closed. And with one nomination, I will ask all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. So then, appointment of parliamentarian and the adoption of the rules. So, anybody interested in the parliamentarian position?
So you have to memorize the entire Robert's Rules of Order?
No, we have the cheat sheet. You can just use the little.
Do you
Right,
have it
Josh?
memorized, Josh?
Not memorized.
All right, okay.
A good understanding.
I think Laura had,
I can do it again. I've done it
Laura?
a few times.
Okay. Consider yourself appointed. And then now for adopting Robert's rules, is that actually a motion? Okay. There's that one. Okay. All right. Let me get to that. What page is that
page
one?
11.
Thank you. Okay. So it's been appointed. Okay, Robert's Rules of Order newly revised as the board will act on a proposal to adopt the Robert's Rules of Order newly revised as the Rules of Order for the School Board of Columbia Heights Public Schools, Independent School District Number 13, except where modified by board policy. So, do you want to have a discussion about Robert's Rules? Is everybody comfortable with that? Because we can just go with a motion in a second, if that's the case.
So moved?
Molly?
Second.
Gloria? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Next up is the minutes, meeting dates and times. The regular meetings of the school board have been held on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month at 7 PM, with the exception of December, in which the meeting would be on the third Tuesday. March, in which there would be no meeting during spring break. July, when there would be no meetings. It is recommended that the board set a meeting and time that is convenient for the members of the board. It is also recommended that no new business shall be taken up by the school board after 10:45 PM, except by unanimous consent of board members. There will be option of adding a work session. Work sessions have been scheduled the third Tuesday of the month at 5:30. School board meetings will be held in the district community center. So, unless someone is, I will start with a motion in a second, then we'll talk about the schedule. So, get a motion to move that forward.
So moved.
Is that Laura? Thank you.
Second.
Molly? Okay. Comments, discussion, or questions about the keeping the schedule? This is the suggestion, I guess, at this point, is to keep the schedule as it's been.
I think that makes sense.
I don't have any reason to suggest change.
I mean, is it pretty much the same type of schedule that other districts do?
Based on what I've seen, some districts meet less. They have less meetings than we do, but I feel like we are substantially busy in a lot of our meetings, so for me personally, I think you would be opting for, 2 moderately length meetings with the occasional whammy compared to 1 massive meeting a month, which a lot of school districts, I think, do.
And/or changing it to Monday, Thursdays, or whatever. I think that's the, I don't know that the number of meetings are gonna shorten up by much, just based on what we're normally going over in our.
I'm just
calendar.
asking
No,
how others do it, 'cause
I
I really don't know.
I think Fridley meets
Once a month, but they have, it's a very long evening because they have their work session, listening session, and their regular meeting. If in the finance package, I think on salary, I think we put down the number of meeting dates, and that's in there as well. I don't know if that's in board book tonight or if it was in the update, but if you're curious about that.
It's in there,
It's in here.
Yeah, yeah.
page 17.
I think with, going back to the community engagement, I think it would be in our best interest to just keep it as it is. People know what to expect.
Well, yeah, okay.
And it does give us a chance to connect with constituents in between. So, yeah.
Okay.
I think also too, then if somebody were ill, you're missing, that's a huge window of time. We wouldn't see that member also, so, yeah.
Okay.
I somewhat prefer the business meeting being separate from the board meeting because you have time to ask questions and do follow-ups before you're actually making decisions.
I agree.
Yeah. All right, anybody else? Okay, hearing no further discussion, the motion on the table is to keep the schedule as stated. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Next up is appointment of board representatives. I guess previously we've just kind of asked what people were interested in. And you guys all have your list in front of you or not? Yes? Okay. So I'll just start with the MSBA legislative liaison. Anybody have any interest in that? Like last year's.
Really, Kathy, can you remind us of the responsibilities involved with, maybe just, can you give us like the high flyer on each of these?
I don't have all of my things in front of me, but it's essentially, if there's the legislative platform, I think if there's a meeting that the MSBA would want, some kind of legislative input, lobby day at the Capitol or something like that, that's be the person that pinpoints it. I don't think there's meetings that go with that. I think the meetings more go for the delegate assembly than for the legislative liaison. So it's dealing with the platform from MSBA more than anything else, so
Yeah.
one meeting, maybe two.
And last year that was Molly.
I'd be interested in that, if anybody, I seem to, like,
Very
I've really liked what I've seen from AMSD, and I think it's in my interest lane, but if somebody else wanted to try it or learn, I'd totally be willing to flex.
Okay, anybody else want to arm wrestle for that one, or? Okay. So now we can list them all, and that's when we make the motion
How
to
many,
approve them as
Kathy?
said, so we go
How
through each
many
of them.
meetings did you
Okay.
say that was?
Um,
MSBA?
mean, you went last year, you didn't.
Wasn't able to go, yeah, if it was, yeah.
Is that something that interests you, or?
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but I didn't want something that was like every month.
Well, if you're interested, I think there's similar, like, wash between some of the legislative efforts of AMSD and MSBA, so if you want that
Don,
one.
is there some way to access and see just how many meetings they have?
That one, just the means to be determined.
Okay. I'll take that one.
You okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going with Holla for MSBA. Exu, Lauren, you were there last year.
I'd be happy to do it again if there's not anybody who's interested in that.
You did good last year, you caught something.
Yep, I think given too all the kind of wobbliness right now.
It's, it really is, and Lauren and I are always amazed, and I know I'm on public TV, but there's like one general meeting, and I did bring that up, and we'll continue to bring that up on the executive board now, because I'm sitting on that, but it's really,
Anybody else have an interest in that? Okay, we'll go with Lorian, Minnesota State High School League. Molly, that was you last year. I think that's one meeting a year as well.
and the magazine.
Now you get a magazine
Yeah, you
once
do
in a
get
while.
the magazine. I missed the
I do.
magazine.
I'd be happy to do it again and continue getting the magazine, but I'm certainly open if someone else wanted to jump on that.
Okay. Anybody else interested? Molly? 916. I'm going to make a suggestion. I really feel like Laura's been invested and made a real solid commitment to that and does a nice job. I'm going to suggest or recommend that Laura remain the liaison for that. Unless
She
anybody's
wants,
got
I think
it.
wholeheartedly
If you're
agree.
comfortable with that.
I really enjoy the work of the board, and I think that the innovations that are happening over there, I really enjoy participating in that and bringing it back, seeing what more we can do.
You do a great job.
Unless somebody else is interested, that will be that. Looking for a liaison to the city of Columbia Heights.
I'll do that one.
Lauren. City of Fridley.
I can do that one.
City of Hilltop.
You can do that one.
Holla, is that you, Holla?
Yes.
Subcommittee policy, who was on that last year?
I've been on it for a while.
I did bail on that one
Yeah,
last
you
year.
did. I just had to kind of just get
I
that
think
out.
I might have subbed in
What I will do.
at some point.
Because we've talked about this. Molly, do you have an interest and time to be part of that committee?
The meetings are what I struggled with, but if that could be discussed, changed, modified, or,
The time slot of the meetings, the early meetings.
I think just because we've got so much of staff holding over and things like
Yep.
that to do it any later or anything
I get
like
it.
that, so.
yeah.
And if it isn't, I would prefer to have people that can be there, and I'm sure there'll be
Right.
other people, but you weren't on it last year, Lori, I'm gonna ask you the same question in a minute, so if
Yep.
it doesn't, we've tried to rotate, so
Right.
everybody gets exposure, but if you're rotating and somebody can't make it, or it's a super big stressful thing for them, that's
Right.
not as beneficial as it could be. so.
Remind me again of how often?
Let's speak to that a little
please.
bit.
Yep.
There are sometimes, like, once legislative session gets out and MSBA gets the policies done, that you may meet monthly for an hour and a half, right before the board meetings. But then there are some times, like in January, February, and March, that you might not meet at all. But you can count on probably at least 7 meetings for real.
And they're 5:30?
They'll range from 20 minutes to an hour, a little over an
Well,
hour.
sometimes though,
depending.
if there's, as if we have a big
Five.
rasher, they go from,
Yeah.
what do we say, 5:30 to 5 to 6 or 6:30. Sometimes we've gone to 6:30. It depends upon how much work the legislature does, how many policy changes there are. So that's hard, but you can,
Yeah,
over the course of the year, they'll probably meet at least 7.
okay, I'll do it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I didn't
I
ask
want
her
to make
make
sure
it
that
do it.
everyone, unless you guys are all jumping to
No,
do it again.
Okay. Oh, Molly.
I'll take a turn, yes, I'll figure it
Gloria?
out.
I'm gonna have to do, again, I know this is a struggle, I wish I could do it, but I just can't make the 5 o'clock
Nope.
commitment
Okay.
as frequently as we would like, so.
Okay. I will put myself back on there since
I can do
stuck
it.
Natty.
I actually like it.
I love the policy subcommittee.
But if you want to be on it, go ahead.
Well, hold
but-
on. Just kidding.
No, I think I should be back on
Okay,
it.
all right.
So, I mean, I would like to be, so.
Great.
And then I know, so Holla, do you have an interest? Because then I know these guys do too, so we got one more spot.
No, I can try something else this time. I've done it for
Okay.
a while.
And then I don't know if you guys want to do paper, scissors, rocks, or how you want to figure that out.
You both really love it, let me know.
Well,
I really like it, but,
you-
you know,
let's
it's
have
not,
you do
it's
it
not
then.
important.
And
I
then
just-
when John wants to get off of it, I'll get back on it. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Molly, let's do this. Let's see how it goes
Yep.
for you. And if it's a struggle, we can come back to a meeting and change it and
Perfect.
then
Yep, I appreciate
slide
that.
Natty in. So at least you get an opportunity to see if you can make it work, and if not.
Yep, thank you.
So it would be Molly, myself, and Laura. AMSD. Natty,
I would like that one again.
that's who it was last year.
That was me last year.
Anybody else? Okay, put Natty there. I have no problem going to the Columbia Heights Business Council meetings. I did that this last year, but if somebody else wants to go, they sure can. Okay, so then I will take that one. Okay, so I'm gonna read it back, and Dawn, you can tell me if I got it right. We got, for the MSB Legislative Liaison is Hala. EXU is Lorian. State High School League would be Molly. 916 would be Laura. Liaison to the City of Columbia Heights is Lorian. To the City of Fridley is Molly. To the City of Hilltop is Hala. School Board Policy Subcommittee is Molly, Laura, and myself. AMSD would be Natty, and then the Columbia Heights Business Council would be myself. That all sound correct, everybody? Agree to? Okay, with that being set as the appointments of the board representatives, so I get a motion to move that forward, please?
So moved.
Ooh, I'm gonna give it to Holland.
All right, second.
All right, Natty. You seconded, any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, motion carries. We're getting there. Okay. And then we are looking to set up liaisons to the schools. This would be effective July of 2019 to June 30th, July 1st of 2019 to June 30th of 2020. I don't know if you guys have it in front of you, but, so we're looking for the high school. Currently, it's Laura.
I can do that one.
Paula. Columbia Academy is currently me,
I can do that one.
Lorian. Highland is currently Molly.
I was Highland 2 years ago, so I don't know how much we want to rotate
I'll
them.
take Highland. North Park is currently Lorian.
I take North Park.
Natty. Valley View is currently Natty.
I can do Valley View.
Laura. Family Center, Molly?
Sure.
It's okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Don, I have for the high schools, Hala. Columbia Academy is Lorian. Highland is myself. North Park is Natty. Valley View is Laura. And the Family Center is Molly. Okay. Start with a motion to move that forward.
So moved.
Lorian,
Second.
Molly. Discussion? Hearing none, all's in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Next up is the salaries and per diem for board members and board officers. I guess I would suggest a motion, and look for a second, just to leave them as they are. And I'll read what here's my motion here. And so the motion would be to set the 2019 salaries for all board members at, where are we at? $500 per month, to establish additional compensation for board officers as follows: chair, $100 per month, and furthermore, that all members of the board may receive per diem payments over salaries established by the Board of Education for meetings of NSBA, MSBA, mediation sessions, and such other meetings as may be approved by the board, and which take the member away from his or her regular obligations or of the regular workday, or which are held on Saturday and Sunday. Said compensation for the per diem payment to be, it's $50 for up to 4 hours, and $50 for a day, up to 4 hours, and $100 per day in excess of 4 hours. So that's the motion that I would suggest, and I would look to open up the discussion, a motion to move that forward.
So moved.
Is that Holla?
Yeah.
Second.
Second by Laura. And then discussion, questions, comments.
Just looking at this chart, it looks, if you guys want to look at it, see you're on page 17 of the packet. Looks pretty comparable based on the number of meetings.
Yeah, I think you have to look at the number of meetings.
Yep.
I think if you're just looking at the salaries, it looks a little high. But when you look at the pre-scheduled meetings per year, it says 21, with additional meetings is 10. And that's because in that 21, the work studies aren't included in that. So you really think of the 3 meetings we have a month, we're over 30 meetings a month.
A year,
A year, yeah.
yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion on the table, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried. Hi. We are to the designation of depositories.
Good evening, Chair Larkin, school board members, and Superintendent Kelly. We're here this evening for designation of depositories.
All right, the resolution. Okay. Start with the motion and a second, and then I'll read the resolution.
So moved.
Lorian?
Second?
Natty. And the resolution reads as follows. Be it resolved that the following be designated as depositories for certain monies of the school district, and as such are authorized and directed to honor and/or pay checks or orders when signed by the treasurer and the clerk for the withdrawal or transfer of funds on deposit in said bank in whatever form. Bank of America, U.S. Bank, Northeast Bank, Minnesota School District Liquid Asset Funds Plus, and Wells Fargo. Be it further resolved that the following investment brokers are hereby authorized and directed to honor orders when signed by the treasurer and the clerk for the withdrawal or transfer of funds on deposit in said instructions in whatever form for Morgan Stanley and PMA Financial Network. Be it further resolved that in case such deposits in the designated banks shall at any time exceed $250,000, said depository shall immediately furnish bonds or securities in lieu of bond according to law. And the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, Minnesota, or any other aforementioned depositories are hereby designated as the place for safekeeping for all securities furnished in lieu of such bond. Questions or comments or discussion?
For everyone who might watch this, this is something we do every year, correct?
Standard business
Standard
operating
business.
process, correct.
Okay, there's no discussion, this is a resolution, so, oh gosh. Laura, okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mueller,
Aye.
Severson,
Aye.
Larkin,
Aye,
Lewis,
Aye.
Samurai,
Aye.
and Palmer. Aye.
motion carries. Next up would be the electronic transfer designees.
Good evening, Chair Larkin, school board members, and Superintendent Kelly. This evening, we're here to address the electronic transfer designees. The board will be asked to appoint designees for processing electronic transfers. The designees are Bernice Humnick, Director of Finance and Operations, and Denise Sundstrom, Deputy Director of Finance.
Okay, motion to move that forward.
So moved.
Lorian,
Second.
Laura, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. And designation of legal counsel and contacts. Bertie?
Good evening, Chair Larkin, school board members, and Superintendent Kelly. We're here this evening to address the designation of legal counsel and contacts. The board will be asked to appoint designees as legal counsel as noted in the motion below. Karen Keppel, Lauren Tubbs of Booth and Booth, and Labardo, Joseph Langle, and others of Ratwick, Rozak, and Maloney, and Thomas Dean of Knutson, Flynn, and Deans.
Okay, motion to move that forward.
So moved.
Molly?
Second.
Paula? Discussion.
A question, clarification?
You can do that too.
Would it be possible for us to get further information about the specialties and how we address the council? Where they're, whether it's employment law or
I can start us
contract.
out. Karen Keppel's employment law. Laura Tubbs Booth would be special education. Joel Langle, primarily, you met him, handles our contract litigation disputes, joint powers agreements, and then Tom Deans of Knutson, Flynn, and Deans handles anything that has to do with election jobs, and bonds.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thanks, Bernice. Next up would be the designation of the election clerk. You gonna do it? or- Okay, I thought you were gonna come up and talk to us. Okay, never mind. Go ahead. All right, Cam, Superintendent.
Mr. Chair and members, Don Hoyam has been trained and served in this position since 2007. It's the position of designation of his election clerk, and I would like to ask you to consider, as the governance question, reappointing her to this position for the next school year.
Start with a motion to move that forward.
So,
Lorian,
second.
Laura, discussion.
Has anyone else expressed interest? I'm just really curious right now.
Anyone else want to do what you're doing, Don?
I took the training a long time ago, and I'm really glad she's doing it.
So am I. I was just curious if someone's gonna.
They're all sitting in the audience right now, hoping we say no to Don.
Chomping at the bit.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. And next up would be the designation of the official newspaper. Kristen?
Chair Larkin, members of the school board, Superintendent Kelly, I'm here this evening to recommend that the Sun Focus be designated as the official newspaper for Columbia Heights Public Schools.
Okay, let's start with a motion to move this forward.
So moved.
Natty?
Second.
Molly? Questions? Comments? Discussion?
Looks like the Sun Focus, as if, maybe I should just ask a question.
Yes.
The area of circulation suits our district?
It does. And we posted, and the Sun Focus was the only paper that was appropriately qualifying that submitted a request to be considered as our official paper.
And it's my kind of general understanding that this is also the most widely, this is the one that can touch our entire district, not just Columbia Heights, right? It also
That is-
needs Fridley, Hilltop.
That is correct.
Okay.
Anybody else, any questions or comments? Okay, motion on the table is to designate the Sun Focus as the official newspaper for the calendar year 2019 for Columbia Heights Public Schools. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. And that's it. So we're going to adjourn this meeting at 6:13. Thanks, everybody.